Some people say beans and grains didn't exist until 10,000 years ago and therefore are not our natural foods and our bodies aren't programmed to eat it. And therefore, we're meant to eat animal products. What does the best science have to say about this?
The best science is laughing at that statement. I'm laughing at that statement. Here's the issue. First of all, the statement is false. Everybody always equates the beginning of agriculture to the end of health. And food stability is a good thing, not a bad thing. If you want to go visit some places in the world where there isn't food stability, you could become a great fan of farming right away, all right? But in 10,000 years, let's assume for a moment these people are right. Let's give them that. In 10,000 years, humans can adapt to eat almost anything. Had we decided at that point in time to be carnivores, our entire digestive system would have changed. Right now, most of the enzymes that your body produces are amylase. That's an enzyme that digests starch. So we would be more like my cat at home. He's a carnivore. So he's got enzymes that digest fat and protein. All right. So we would have become more like carnivores over 10,000 years if we were supposed to eat animal foods. We started eating, let's say we started 10,000 years ago eating beans and grains. We've evolved to eat beans and grains. We've adapted to that food supply. And the problem with the paleo diet, well, a million problems with the paleo diet, but the people who promote this is what they don't understand is you take people who are eating, basically a plant-based diet, maybe a bad one, you put them on a paleo diet, they're not adapted to eating that type of food at all. It's the reverse of what they're saying.
Should we soak our beans and whole grains before eating them?
The short answer is no. If you want to, it's fine. I don't really try to interfere with people who want to make work for themselves. I want to juice, I want to soak, whatever. What I have trouble with, and why I feel like I have to speak out about it, is when people make this so much work that nobody will do it. We have to get people to do this. And their job, all day long, I talk to people about food and diet and all this stuff. That's my job. And I also have the luxury of a lot of time to do this kind of thing. I don't soak and juice, just for the record, all right? But we have got to start making this something that busy people can do without giving up their jobs and locking their kids in the basement so that they can prepare food all day. It's just not practical, a lot of the advice that's being given.
Can too many cooked beans and whole grains raise our blood sugar and make us pre-diabetic or diabetic?
Well, it's interesting. The people on the planet, the populations that have the lowest incidence of diabetes, eat a very high starch diet. In Okinawa, the diet is 69% of calories from sweet potatoes. Papua New Guinea, it's 90%. In Africa, Northern Africa, they're living on tubers. Asians eating rice. So it's a starch-based diet. And beans and grains are starchy foods. So no, you don't get diabetes from eating beans and grains. You get diabetes from eating protein and fat instead of beans and grains. It's interesting you should ask this question right now because, we own a school. And we attract really brilliant people from all over the world who want to be involved in nutritional science and that sort of thing. And one of my students in India, who is one of the best researchers I've ever had in class. I enjoy reading her papers like I enjoy reading novels because they're that good. She just wrote a 9-page paper on the science showing that eating protein and fat leads to type 2 diabetes, eating starch and plants the opposite direction. And so I'm going to publish it in my newsletter. The ultimate honor in my world is that I use your articles instead of mine in the newsletter, and this is one that's earned that honor. But no, eating beans and grains is not how you end up getting diabetes. It's the opposite. And you can eat your way out of type 2 diabetes eating beans and grains.
Does it make a difference for health if you eat beef from organic grass-fed cows versus factory farm cows?
Well, there's no question that eating cleaner animal food is a better idea, but it doesn't change the health outcomes from eating too much of it. If you, again, looking at population studies, looking at historical data, the people who end up in trouble are people who eat animal food as the center of their diet. Around the world, we don't really see any indigenous vegan populations, but here's what all the healthy populations have in common. Animal food is like a condiment. It's not the main dish. So if you and I were living in Ethiopia right now and our mom was fixing dinner, she'd have a big thing of tubers and vegetables and all this sort of thing, and then you slice up 8 ounces, 12 ounces of goat meat, and it seasons the dish that serves 11 of us, okay? That's an entirely different thing than in our world where you've got a dinner plate and a huge chunk of meat, whatever it is, beef, chicken, whatever, is on the plate, and then everything else is the accompaniment. So I think that when animal food, organic animal food is minimized to that very tiny condiment, 2-3 times a week maybe, it's fairly safe. But you can't skate the danger and the health risks associated with eating a lot of animal food by buying better animal food.
What do you drink during the day on a typical day, being as specific as possible?
Well, I'll be real specific. Water. I'm good for a cup of coffee every day. And in the wintertime, it was 4 degrees when I left Columbus, so I like hot tea, but I drink at least 64 ounces of water every single day. And more when I'm sweating and exercising. I have a hot yoga studio in my building. We own it. And so more water on the days I go to hot yoga.
What can women do who are having bladder problems and can't fully control when they urinate?
Bladder problems, both in men and women, you have to get to what is the cause. And sometimes it's structural, particularly for women who've had difficult childbirths or C-section births, and you have to surgically fix it in some instances. If it's not, incontinence can be fixed by changing your diet. There's a condition called interstitial cystitis, which has some features of autoimmune. So dietary change can help with that. Another thing, there's a form of physical therapy, and it's a specialized form of training. So you need to see a PT who's actually done the training that can help women learn to reverse that condition as well. So the solutions range from simple dietary change to surgical, depending upon the cause.